On the night of September 12th, 1997, Los Angeles was very quiet. A money transport truck was passing through the streets. These trucks carry money collected from businesses and banks to a place where the money is stored in a large safe. In this center worked a person named Alan Pace, who was in charge of all the security technology of this center. Alan Pace was an ordinary employee there, doing his job well and getting along with everyone. However, the other employees of this center didn't know that a theft genius was among them. When Alan Pace was hired at this center, he thought about stealing the large safe. For this reason, he works there with patience and endurance, and he is planning. After a few years, Alan realizes that he needs help, so he seeks help from 5 of his friends who were his childhood friends. Alan tells them the story and asks for their help. Alan was well acquainted with all the employees there. He knew when each employee came to work, what each one did, and when they finished work. Alan's job was related to the security of the machines, allowing him to take photos discreetly from anywhere without arousing suspicion. With the photos he had taken, Alan precisely briefed his friends. With careful operation, he also had information on all the cameras in the facility, knowing exactly where each camera was pointing and where there was no surveillance. The center was equipped with the most advanced cameras of 1997, capable of rotating 360 degrees. Every night, Alan had sessions with his friends for 5 months. He informed them about the layout of the building where the money was kept, showing them where the doors, cameras, and guards were located. Alan, being very patient, told his friends that rushing would ruin everything. Everything was going well until the 12th of September arrived. On that day, Alan was shocked when they told him he was fired. The reason for his dismissal was a prank. He had opened the front light of his friend's car for a joke and was reported for stealing the light. They easily expelled Alan and told him not to come from the next morning. Feeling upset, Alan thought all the plans were falling apart. Immediately, he called a meeting with his friends and said, "I've been fired, and if we want to do this job, we have to do it tomorrow because our information will become outdated and we may not be able to go there anymore." It was a good opportunity, and Alan knew it because on the day he was fired, it was a Thursday, and the next day when they planned to steal, it would be Friday. Fridays usually had the most money in the safe. On the 12th night, Alan and his friends went to a club to pass the time. When the time came, around 11 p.m., they left the club, changed into different clothes, wore masks, armed themselves, and headed to the robbery location. They had rented a large van and went with it. When they approached the building, Alan's friends warned him about the cameras. Still, Alan said it was okay because the person in charge of those cameras was careless. Alan even had the key to the back of the building and had prepared everything. They easily entered the building, making sure not to be seen by the cameras. They followed the same path Alan used. It was around midnight, and Alan knew that the guards were on break during this time, usually going outside for coffee or a cigarette. Alan and his friends waited in a cafe for the guards. One by one, they disarmed the guards and taped their mouths. Alan knew that the key to the vault room was with the guards. They took the key and entered the room. This was no ordinary safe. It had an 18-inch steel diamite door. The body of this safe is impenetrable, and no one can open it without the key. However, Alan is a genius and knows that on Fridays, at this hour, the safe is open because a lot of money is deposited, making it easy for Alan to enter. Inside the safe, there were shelves with locks, but these locks were ordinary and easily cut. Alan and his friends had an easy job because, once again, Alan knew which shelf contained the most money. They chose shelves with the most money, mostly consisting of $20, but there were also $150, which they also took. The rented van they used was filled with money, totaling $18,900,000, which would be approximately $30 million today. But Alan didn't just want money. He wanted security information. He entered the control room, took his friend as a hostage, erased the security footage, and interestingly, he knew where the backup of the information was kept. He took the backup and left the room. Alan and his friends managed to pull off the world's biggest cash theft. Never before had such a large sum of cash been stolen. Alan had thought ahead. They quickly went to his friend's apartment, emptied all the money, changed back into regular clothes, and returned to the same club they were at before. If anyone asked where they were at that time, they would say they were at the club. Near morning, they went home. When they arrived home with all that money, what do you think they did? Perhaps they would spend it on Rolex watches or luxury cars. However, Alan said, "No news is good news. If you suddenly spend a lot, people might become suspicious." For now, he gave $100,000 to each of his friends and said, "Stay calm and be careful." Their next move was to rent a warehouse and move the money there. The news of this major theft quickly spread everywhere, and since a large amount had been stolen, the FBI took over the case. The FBI initially looked for fingerprints, but found nothing. The captured guards had no useful information because Alan had done his job very well. They wore masks, changed their voices, and didn't reveal their names. FBI couldn't find any clues, but they wondered how the thief knew where the backups were. So they investigated all the employees. When they asked who could have done this, everyone pointed to Alan Pace. They searched everywhere, and the only thing they found in the parking lot was the broken rear light of a car, the same car Alan and his friends had rented. The FBI couldn't trace this broken light to anywhere because there were many similar vans in Los Angeles. The FBI started monitoring Alan to understand what he was up to. After observing him, they found out he was living in his mother's house and had no bank account. 6 months passed, and there was no news. Alan was slowly distributing the money among his friends, but his friends couldn't keep calm. They started buying houses and cars. Alan launched a company to legitimize the money. Everything was going well until one of Alan's friends decided to buy land. This friend made a big mistake by not paying attention to the bundles of banknotes he handed to the seller. The banknote bundles had the banks banned, and the seller, becoming suspicious, wondered why this guy had so much cash. He called his bank, asking what to do with the money because he suspected it might be fake. When the bank investigated the money, they realized the bundles were from the vault heist. The police were informed, and when they found out that the money was from the same vault that had been robbed some time ago, they contacted the FBI. The FBI was curious about how someone like Eugene could have this much money. They arrested him and looked into where he was on the day of the heist. They discovered he had rented the same car whose broken taillight belonged to the FBI. During the investigation, they found out Eugene was associated with Alan. Eugene was arrested and revealed all the names of Alan's friends. The police arrested all 5 of them. Alan, considered the leader of the gang and an employee at the center, received a 25-year prison sentence, while each of his friends got 10 years. Now, FBI only recovered $7 million, and the rest is unknown. Alan's friends claim they spent it and don't know where it is. Alan is still in prison, having received his sentence in 2001. His friends were released, but are under strict supervision because the FBI is still after the remaining $10 million. If you enjoyed this video from Versa Vista, please like and subscribe. Your support means a lot.